life living through and as each one of us. This morning we will hear from Reverend Jane. She's back. Hooray, hooray. And her talk is entitled Christmas in July, my favorite holiday. And Gary will be sharing our meditation. We're being blessed musically this morning by none other than the Wrights as we now stand and sing our community song.
Yeah, if you can stand up, that'd be great. We're going to sing God You Are. And then in the name of this morning. Get your blood flowing a little bit. 2, 3.
Every mountain, God you are. Every ocean, God you are. Every canyon, every inch of earth and sky, God you are. Every morning, God you are. Every midnight, God you are. Every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. And God you are, every sunrise, God you are. Every moon glow, God you are. Every starshine, every inch of earth and sky, God you are. Every springtime, God you are. Every snowfall, God you are. Every season, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. 'Cause you are every breath I breathe. And your perfect love created me. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.
Great job on the clap there, you guys. Woo-hoo. It's always fun to see. Am I supposed to clap now?
Good morning. My name's Linda, and I have the announcements. In case you didn't notice, there's a blood bank truck out in the driveway. So you don't have to have signed up. You can go now, later, or whenever, and go out there and give your blood. They'll be out there as long as people are coming. And parking lot sale has been canceled due to lack of participation. So the one thing I will say, if you have books or jewelry, you parking lot people, I'll take them in the bookstore. You can just donate them to the bookstore. Kids Week registration, parents, please come sign up your kids. $30 for the week, Monday through Thursday, Adventure in Creativity. Registration forms are available, see Jackie. David's class, Synchro Destiny, started last Wednesday, had a really good turnout. You do not have to have been at the first class to be at any of the other classes. So come and join on Wednesday mornings at 10 o'clock for David's class. It's a really good one. And for you people who were there, I've got a couple of their books in the bookstore that David suggested on Wednesday. And last but not least, Regina Merritt's memorial will be September 21st, so put that on your calendar. And for those of you who didn't know, she passed away a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, she's passed away a couple of weeks ago, and we'll be doing her memorial on September 21st. Thank you.
All right, well, this is the Conscious Conversations report. It's our community update slot. I'm going to invite Amber McKenzie to come up, and she's going to share. And just so you know, we're having some technical difficulties today. Our server's down, and so we are making up for it in various creative ways. So.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Amber McKenzie, and I am on the board here at Unity. I was also a member of the Evolutionary Council that conducted the Conscious Conversations interviews, and I was also part of the team that processed the results and came up with the final report, which is available online, so I'm sure all of you have downloaded your copy. Maybe you have it available with your highlighters. If so, get it out. I'm kidding. It is available online on our website, so I highly encourage you to just, if you have some time, take a look. It has some really valuable information. And so what I'm going to do is give you a quick overview of Conscious Conversations and then just give you my part of the report. So as Dr. Gary and Dr. Jane move us toward a more sustainable model of ministry that is mission-centric as opposed to ministry-centric, it was important for us to gauge the temperature of those attending Unity. And so that included everyone from, governing members that have been here for 40 years or more, all the way to people that have attended once or twice. So we wanted to really get a feel for everyone. And so we interviewed 130 people, and the Conscious Conversations were just that. They were open-ended questions, person-to-person, heart-centered, inquiries about what is moving, evolving, and emerging within our spiritual community. So it was a really amazing process. And Joan Reckling and Sally Sledge gave their portion of the report in May, and as well as their own experience with it, and then Judy Jamison gave hers last month in June. So I'm presenting on part 4, which is the emerging trends and what's evolving in our ministry. And then I'll also share a little bit about my experience with the whole process. So the questions we asked to get to the heart of what's emerging and evolving were 3 questions. They were, what do you need or desire to become more fulfilled in your relationship to our spiritual community? What shifts or changes do you perceive could benefit our spiritual community? And then, is there anything else you would like to share? Okay, so out of those questions, 9 main themes emerged, and I'm going to go in order of the comments we received on those, because again, they were open-ended questions, so lots of comments. The first one was with 66 comments, and that was about Sunday services. And so that included everything from, having a longer meditation time, people absolutely loving the message that they received, having more Q&As with the ministers, which we've implemented, and then, just lots of comments about Sunday services. And then also, some passionate responses to our meet and greet time. Some people love it, some people hate it, so very interesting information. The next one was 52 comments in relation to outreach. And in this case, outreach means Unity communicating their mission and message into the larger community to draw more folks in. And so there were a lot of comments around increasing outreach to diverse groups, families, LGBTQ plus communities, as well as more marketing of the spiritual center, that type of thing. And then there were 50 comments on service in the greater Spokane community. So, offering more service opportunities. Many people mentioned wanting themselves to volunteer more. Maybe they hadn't taken advantage of the opportunities that were presented here at Unity, and they wanted to do that. So it was a lot of self-reflection as well. And then there were 45 comments around our internal community building efforts with other members and guests. So social activities, dinners, welcoming newcomers, name tags, which we've implemented a lot of these things that we took from the conversations. And so that was great information to have. There were 42 comments about classes and small group activities. So a lot of people, love the CUE process, they love spirit groups, and then, people kind of had some recommendations for additional class opportunities, retreats, support groups, recovery groups, etc. There were 27 comments about ownership. That was another theme. And our congregation's commitment to supporting this ministry through leadership, volunteering, and financial contributions. And, again, this is all about being more mission-centric, the ownership is. And then we had 23 comments about youth and family ministry, so soliciting more volunteers in those areas, youth choir, parenting support, childcare, that type of thing. 20 comments on communication and leadership, so ways to create more transparent communication between the congregation, the board, leadership groups, and a lot of those things we're doing as well, like with board updates and other ways to communicate more about what's going on, kind of behind the scenes. And finally, there were 7 comments about facilities. So that is including the building, sanctuary, and other things. Some people were pretty passionate, like, some wanted to burn the building down. Others loved the building. Start all over. So lots of good information there. So those were the 9 themes. And as far as my experience goes, when I started the process, or when I became part of the Evolutionary Council, I had only been attending Unity for about 1.5 years, and I hadn't really been participating much at that point. And so I was a little bit nervous and unsure of what this, Evolutionary Council conscious conversations would be like. So it was a little intimidating, but then of course it turned out to be a wonderful opportunity. I especially enjoyed the interviews because not only was I able to get to really know other people, I was able to understand their own experience about how Unity has transformed their lives. And of course that felt very similar to my own experience. So it gave us an additional connection and really kind of reinforced my feeling and sense of just being part of this wonderful community. The experience also offered me a deeper dive into what goes on in a dynamic and innovative spiritual center like Unity. My past experience with church was not, particularly positive. And of course, the churches that I was involved with were very minister-centered. And so I never felt motivated to be a part of anything because it felt like things just were dictated to me. And so to be a part of the process is, wow, that's new. And so that's why part of this process really invigorated my support for having a mission-centered ministry. And then, let's see, what else do I have here? Oh, yeah, the other part is, the experience of being part of the Evolutionary Council, where we, members of the church, were in charge of the interviews, the collecting of the data, the processing of it, and then the final report without almost no, oversight from, he gave us oversight, but no kind of overlord, making sure that we said the things that we needed to say. It was very much, it came from the interviews, and we reported that, and that's what you have in the report. So that was refreshing as well, and it feels very authentic and real. And finally, this process helped me realize how empowering it is to be part of a mission-centric spiritual center, where I have ownership over my role in the community and where the minister is not the end-all be-all. This is especially important to me as I'm studying to be a Unity minister myself. Thank you. So I am definitely on team mission-centric, if there is such a team. And that's it. Thank you.
send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my power over the mountains. I send my power over the sea. I send my power into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me.
So as we begin our meditation experience, let us focus on opening our hearts. So let's bring into our awareness someone or something that we appreciate, that invokes the felt sense of appreciation, gratitude, a deeper sense of love. And as we feel the blessings of those who are near and dear, let us dedicate this time together energetically as a connecting link between the field of infinite possibilities and whatever specific need is necessary and good for the individuals that we're connected to. And so as we open our hearts and minds now to be this connecting link, to be the instruments of greater fulfillment and healing, demonstrations of abundance, fulfillment. Whatever is the need, let us think of someone, including ourselves. Whatever their need is, to speak their name now into this room together. And as we hold these individuals in our hearts, let us simply connect up in our awareness through this felt sense of appreciation to the greater mind, the greater awareness that is our higher selves. Connecting up to the field is the primary effort, recognizing that we're a part of a whole, that we're in this together, that we're connected to everybody, everyone, everything, everywhere, and in every time. And in this sense of oneness, we simply connect up, feel ourselves expansive, infinite, and eternal, losing ourselves in this interconnection, this field of presence, possibilities, oneness, power, wholeness. And as we abide in this awareness, in this connection, we simply hold in this energetic field the one, the individual, the name that we spoke. Without reaching or beseeching, we simply allow this connection, this love, this feeling of gratitude, the feeling that we're all in this together, to simply be in this moment, filling our awareness, in silence. Breathe in and release. Breathe in and release. Let us release ourselves now, not only into the care and keeping of this presence, but let us send our love. Let us send it. Let us send it into the field and let it find us in all that we care about. For this we are grateful. Thank you, God. So it is.
I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens. And it returns to me. Sing that one again. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens. It returns to me. And it returns to me.
Thank you. What a beautiful song that is, isn't it? Isn't it beautiful to sing it and to actually do it? Yes. Yes. Thank you. That's beautiful. Hello, everybody. Good morning. It's good to be back. I've been gone for a few weeks, actually. Did you notice? And I've been on quite a journey. Can you all hear me? We're having some microphone issues today. I've been on quite a journey since you last saw me, and that included things like the Red Rocks of Moab, Utah. Anybody been there? It's amazing. The mountain peaks of Colorado. You're up right up to the snow line there. The peace and tranquility of Unity Village. The joyous reunion with beloved colleagues. We all used to do youth ministry together. We were all youth consultants in the different regions, and we all just kind of converged. This was the ordination night when all the new ordinands were getting ordained, and we all just ended up together in this moment, and we said, we got to take a picture. It was great. And then there were a few classmates that were there, just 4 of us this time, as we celebrated 20 years of ministry. We had our 20th anniversary while we were there. So it was quite a trip. From there, I got across the border just in time for Canada Day. It's a great time to be in Canada, let me tell you. And I got to visit with family members in my hometown, and then visited with my daughter and her family, my son and his family, for a couple weeks. So it was grandson heaven. And the two little guys are my daughter's two, and then the little guy and the big guy are my son's two. My grandson Julian has just joined the Canadian military, and you can see he's towering over me at this point. And there were even some grand dogs in there. Many grand dogs. It felt like more than we needed, but that's okay. It was Christmas in July, that's what I thought of it as, which is my talk title this morning, as you've heard. So as you can see, it's been quite an adventure this last month. And you know something, I really enjoy traveling. I love traveling, but when it's so jam-packed like that, it makes my head spin just a little bit. And like the Christmas season, where it can be filled with this whirlwind of parties and food and special events, there's a frantic pace that can happen that can get in the way of actually experiencing the reason behind it all. Why was I doing all this traveling? Now, my favorite method of travel is a road trip. Any other road trip fans here? Yes, I like exploring the world at a little bit of a slower pace. So in the midst of all that frantic travel, I stopped. I took a breath, and I consciously made the decision to slow down, to settle into my body, to breathe, to be, to enjoy what was in front of me, to let go of the hurry and just be. So I gave myself a bit of an early Christmas present of just being present. In other words, I chose to actually get still and be wherever I was, be here now. I practiced the art of staying in the Buddhist sense, which means that your head and your feet are in the same place. And it takes some practice. It's about staying awake to what is happening right now. And to do that, I had to become aware of what was actually getting in the way. What was going on inside of me that was stopping me from being present to it all. Any idea what it might have been? That's right, my head. Turns out the problem was that I was listening to this constant nattering going on in my head, letting that inner storyteller spin all kinds of yarns, take my attention away from the miracle that was happening right in front of me. Do you know what I mean by that? Yes. I recently read an analogy of what that's like. Imagine walking into a big room and there is a party going on. And your attention gets captured by a 24-inch TV screen in the corner of the room. And you spend hours watching it. And you become captivated by it, in fact. And you miss the whole party that's going on all around you. Now, to come back to that party, you don't have to destroy the TV. You don't even have to turn it off. You just need to stop, widen your attention, widen your focus to taking it all in. Do you see that? Stop focusing consciousness only on that 24-inch TV screen. And this analogy is referring to the filtering aspect of our minds. If you remember, it's estimated that there are around 400 billion bits of information available to us right now. But our mind is only capable of taking in, anybody remember how many? 2,000 bits. 400 billion, did I say million? It's 400 billion. 2,000. It's a tiny little sliver of what is actually going on in reality. So it's a matter of consciously stepping back and widening our awareness, and then seeing when we become seduced back into experiencing life through the 24-inch TV screen, the antics of the ego, is the way I think of it. 40 scientists from all different disciplines, including neuroscientists, physicists, sociologists, anthropologists, they all got together to come up with a working definition of what the mind is, one that they could all agree upon. And this is what they came up with. The mind is an emergent, self-organizing, embodied, and relational process that regulates the flow of energy and information. Did you know that that's going on inside your mind? Yes. And we have a name for that self-organizing, regulating filter. Do you know what we call it? Me, or I. That's what I call my I. The I, or the self-concept, or the limited identity, is what is blocking spirit from our awareness. And it often feels like a chaotic internal state, constantly spinning stories, yammering away as it narrates and interprets whatever is showing up in our world. You know, this is good, this is bad, I want more of this, no more of that. Here's one that showed up for me. I'm too busy to look at the June bug my grandson just found. I have a talk to write about being present. I actually caught myself doing that. And on it drones. And we can be so focused on what our mind is telling us, you could even say we become hypnotized by it. And because we are identifying with this limited self, we are not being the truth of who we are. We're not being the whole self. And because of that, we can feel this sense of divine discontent. Anybody know what I mean by that? Being unfulfilled, you know? Needy, in lack, lonely, whatever it is for us, anxious. However it shows up for us, that is the reason for it. Because we are trying to compensate for not being who we are by looking outside of ourselves, trying to find something that fills the gap. And you know, when we find something that maybe feels like it might be it can help us temporarily. It might just help with the blockage for that moment, you know, those shiny new shoes, or a new job, or vacation. All that can give us a lift, can't it? And we might get a brief moment of delight. But then, what happens? The shine wears off. The shoes get scuffed. The job has its drawbacks. The vacation included mosquitoes. The solution wasn't permanent. We're looking for something outside of ourselves to compensate for what we're not connecting to in here. And then we get just stuck in this vicious cycle, trying to find satisfaction, getting a shiny new something, and then, as it wears off, back to that same dissatisfaction, looking for some more. And this searching for something outside of ourselves in order to compensate for what we're not connecting to within ourselves, this is the entire foundational basis for consumerism. Isn't it? Here it is. Here's the carrot. Maybe that's the one. And the reason this will never give us what we're looking for is because we're looking outside of ourselves to find something that is within us. We can't see it because we're so busy looking for something we've never lost. Really? Do you know what I mean by that? It's like a fish swimming in looking for water. Where is this thing called water? It all comes from trying to compensate for missing our connection with Source. What we're looking for is we're hungry for our own radiance. Do you know that about yourself? Hungry for your own radiance. So the answer is to shift our attention within and become present, and that's not so easy to do with some of the lifestyles that we keep. As John Gardner puts it, we can keep ourselves so busy, fill our lives with so many diversions, stuff our heads with so much knowledge, involve ourselves with so many people, cover so much ground that we never have time to probe the fearful, wonderful world within. And he says, by middle age, most of us are accomplished fugitives from ourselves. Can anyone relate to what it feels like to be a fugitive from yourself? Trying to outrun, whatever it is? Here's the thing, spiritual growth comes when we stop being a fugitive from ourselves, when we cease being a prisoner of the mind, when we instead focus on seeking freedom from that vicious cycle, shifting from getting or doing in order to feel better about ourselves, and move simply to being, taking responsibility for what we're putting out there in the world, and seeing that it's up to me to be the change that I'm trying to find. And partway through my trip, I started to clue into that, and I consciously started to do it. Now, I have to be honest with you and say that this kind of work wreaks havoc for the ego. See? And why? Because the focus changes from trying to make things better. The ego depends on this constant striving to improve. That's what gives it its life. And when that stops, when we stop doing that and instead focus on breaking the habit of being that ego itself and shift into the change, well, let's just say it isn't typically the kind of work we joyfully enter into. There can be resistance. However, when we go beyond the personal self, when we stop focusing on the 24-inch screen, we discover that what's left is the greater self. Do you see? That's the good news. What's accessible to us is deep inspiration and joy and compassion and creativity. We have as much divine love and divine wisdom at our disposal as that we are able to encompass and utilize. Do you see that? It's up to us to widen the focus and to allow it to be expressed. These are gifts beyond measure. And when we do that, we turn our attention back to the party. We don't have to host this party, by the way. We don't have to get the party started. It's been going on all this time. We just have to rejoin it. But don't take my word for it. Don't believe a word I say. Try it for yourself. Become present to your life. Practice being present and see what happens for you. In fact, let's take a moment right now and do something a little different than we typically do in a Sunday talk. And we're going to just take a moment and see if we can sink into that deep awareness and rejoin the Christmas party in mid-July. So I invite all of us to take our attention off of the tiny screen of the mind and widen our field of awareness as we settle into our bodies. First, let go of anything that you have in your hands or in your lap, anything on your heart, any sense of hurry, thinking about what you have to do when you get home today or the work that's waiting for you, any cares or any worries, just set them aside until later. And I invite you right now to experience this sanctuary as a worry-free zone. And so close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. And now feel your feet on the floor. Don't just think about them, feel them. What sensations do you notice? Now widen your attention to include your ankles and your calves and your knees, your thighs, your hips. Feel yourself securely planted in your seat. And now become aware of the trunk of your body. Feel your back, your chest, your lower abdomen, your shoulders, and your neck. Release any tension that you notice. Feel your arms, and your hands. Now notice your face. Is there tension in your jaw? How about around your eyes? Feel your forehead and your scalp. And as your body relaxes, take a deep breath and release. Notice any emotions rising up. What are you feeling? Become aware of any thoughts and images that are arising. As they arise, allow them to come. And as they go, let them leave. Just become the witness and observe. is nowhere for you to go right now. There's nothing else you need to be doing. Just feel what it's like to be here now and become aware that you are aware. Now feel your focus move to your heart. And you can put your hand on your heart to connect you with your heart space if you choose. And begin to activate a feeling of gratitude. What are you grateful for right now? Who are you grateful for right now? Feel the feeling begin to glow in your heart, and now let it gently move throughout your body. Feel it. Every cell being bathed in this healing vibration of appreciation. Feel your heart opening to a deeper dimension, the Christ dimension. And as your mind quiets down, there's room for your essence to emerge. There's room at the end for the birth of the awareness of interbeingness. The realization of oneness with the presence and power of the divine. Allow that awareness to come forth. And as we remain in this quiet, relaxed state, feeling gratitude, connected to the deeper source within, I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready and to practice lingering here in the holy now for the remainder of this talk. Consciously return to the present moment whenever your mind wanders. Come on back. So I'll take a breath. Is everybody back? We just did a beautiful thing together. The Sufi poet Rumi said, wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. Do you know that's what you were just doing? You are the soul of this place. Your presence matters here. Your heart matters. Opening your heart. That's the work, isn't it? And as we each connect to that deeper source within us, we begin to experience life beyond the illusion and separation. Now, in more scientific terms, Dr. Joe Dispenza describes it this way. As each one of us takes time to emanate an ambient magnetic field of coherent, harmonious energy, which is what we just did, by the way, as each one of us does that, then our individual fields begin to synchronize and create a collective social coherence of oneness. Isn't that cool? And when those coherent energies of the heart become synchronized like that, it begins to produce a very healing effect. It's a non-local effect that can create healing. And when we change our energy individually, we move beyond the limited self, we connect at a deeper dimension, and we become outlets of the divine. Make no mistake that that is a powerful practice that we just did. As simple as it may seem, staying can change the world. I'm convinced. But we have to bring our whole selves in, like the hokey pokey. So we become the portal through which the oneness of spirit expresses on this earth. Wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. Wherever you find yourself, be the presence of God. Right here, right now. That's the essence of true prayer. It's the correction in a belief in separation. When we get to that coherent state, we are experiencing the true oneness of God. And gratitude's the key. It's the powerhouse that can get us there. It's the magic formula. Can you reach a point where you never get pulled out of that awareness? What do you think? I believe you can, but I'm not there yet. I don't say it can't happen. I made that my goal, but I didn't always reach that goal. And what I discovered, though, was that gratitude could get me there. Whenever I forgot, whenever I started focusing on that 24-inch TV screen again, whenever my grandsons had a brotherly altercation, let's say, whenever I felt the need to sort of step back from some boisterous energy, whenever June bugs were intruding on my work, I would take a gratitude break. And it would get me back there. Dr. Joe says that gratitude is the ultimate state of receivership. Think about that. Think about what that means. When I'm grateful for the moment, I own it. I drink it dry of all of its gifts. And gratitude is the quickest way I've found to moving to a place of presence. As Michael Brown says, gratitude is the fragrance of the present moment. Mike Dooley writes, heaven is everywhere, always at once. Hell is not knowing it. I have to agree. It's everywhere present, every when. Everywhere, every when. One presence. One of my favorite pieces of scripture comes from Genesis 28, where Jacob awakens and says, surely the Lord is in this place. We've written songs about that scripture. What we often miss is the end of the sentence. How does that end? Who can tell me? Let's say it together. And I knew it not. Think about that. Surely Spirit is here, and I missed it. I missed it. God is here now, whether we know it or not. Heaven is everywhere, always at once. But we can be so focused on watching that TV, we miss the party. And you might say, well, you know what, I'm not much of a partier anymore. I can relate to that. I saw a meme on Facebook that said, I used to sneak out of the house to go to parties, now I sneak out of parties to go to my house. So if that is the case, substitute nap on the beach or whatever it is for you. The point is, there is beauty in this moment that we are missing if we are not focusing on the present moment, if we're not present. George Bernard Shaw says it this way, God has given us a world that nothing but our own folly keeps from being a paradise. We are in our own way. Surely the presence is with us and within us right now, whether we know it or not. Surely the presence of God is within the person sitting next to you. If it's everywhere present, the divine must be within me and within you. Turn to the person next to you and say, wow, and I want to hear a big wow. Wow! All right, just stop. There was a comma after wow, but we'll just leave it as an exclamation mark. I think that we made our point. The question is, are we aware that we're immersed in spirit right now? Are you aware that every person around you is holy? Are we living our lives aware that nothing can be outside of the holiness of the infinite, no matter what it looks like? Nothing. We're drenched in it right now. And the moment we see that, the moment we sink into that awareness and really see the truth in all its glory, that everything, everyone, every moment is saturated with God, that's the moment when we celebrate the true meaning of Christmas. Heaven is everywhere, always at once, and only our own mind, the emergent, self-organizing, embodied relational process, busily regulating our lives and interpreting the signals that it's receiving. That's the only thing that's keeping us from experiencing the paradise that it is. And as each one of us awakens to the reality of oneness, begins to live our life from this widened state of consciousness, we stop focusing on the tiny, limited postage stamp of a TV screen and shift to living beyond limits. You see? owning the entirety of our life, filled with gratitude for what is. It's a great way to be. So wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. Can you make that your goal today? Wherever you stand, be the soul of that place. Be the presence of God in expression. Be the living Christ Spirit. Look around with eyes of gratitude, because then you see with the eyes of spirit. Then ask for guidance as to how you can serve the wholeness of reality. How can you do that? Ask your heart. And then be the change you're searching for, and receive the gift of knowing that your presence matters. And in the spirit of Christmas, we have some Christmas stars. They're going to be coming down the aisle at some point. Help yourself to a star. Mine's on my hand. There's some on faces and wherever else you want to put it. Go ahead. But let me be the very first this season to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. And so it is.
Thank you, Jane, for our Christmas presents. You know, the best present of all is your presence. And we really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names of God, the many paths to God, for we know that there is only one power, one presence, one life. So whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey of transformation, you're always welcome here. We would especially like to welcome anyone who is here for the first time. If this is your first time visiting with us and you feel comfortable raising your hand, our ushers have a gift packet for you. Do we have anybody here for the first time? Ooh, Merry Christmas. These people are from the South, the desert. On the outside of the packet, there's a form you can fill out if you choose to be added to our mailing list for our weekly e-news update and our quarterly newsletter. If you're interested, please fill it out, drop it in the love offering bag as it comes around instead of giving a donation today. Also, after the service, you can take your packet to the barista stand and get a free beverage of your choice, and to the bookstore and get a CD of today's fabulous present. If you have any questions or you'd like a name tag, please visit our information desk and speak to one of our welcome team members. We are glad you're all here. We'd also like to welcome you online and thank you for joining us this morning, and realize that there's a donate button at the bottom. Now it's time to welcome and greet each other as we do every week with a handshake, a hug, a high five, a wave, a namaste, whatever works for you. So let's do our welcome song.
It'd be great if you can stand. We'll sing We're All Friends Here.
We are all friends here. There are no strangers once you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in our family of love, and hold you in our hearts the way you are. We are all friends here. There are no strangers once you walk inside that door. We welcome you to linger in our family of love, and hold you in our hearts the way you are.
Namaste.
We are all friends.
strangers once you walk inside that door. We welcome you to the world. Where you are, it's down there are no strangers once you walk inside that door. We welcome you to the world. And hopefully our hearts where you are, where we welcome you to labor. And hopefully our hearts where you are.
Thank you. If this were my classroom, you'd already be in your seats. Now is our time to celebrate abundance together as we share our tithes and love offering. I invite you to hold your offering in your hand. If you are on automatic giving, and I hope most of you are, hold your offering in your heart. And again, as I told the people that are watching online, you can use the donate button at the bottom of the screen. We take a moment now to sink into our hearts and bring forth a feeling of gratitude and generosity. Let's say together our prosperity blessing. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share.
This guy here is new, and when you get a new guy like this one, the strings actually take about 2 weeks to settle in. So but I told it last night I was gonna put it to work. So you're gonna have to be patient here. Let me give it just a moment to find its happiness. Yeah, well. This is a little bit of a lecture for all of you, but it's for my choir members mostly, and anybody interested in taking a ukulele kids class. So if you got kids that want to learn to get acquainted with the ukulele, I'm going to teach a studio during Kids Week, so that'll be an option that they can come and learn. And one of the things that's fascinating about this song I'm going to play for you today is, for my choir members, this is a 1-6-4-5 song. So this is 4 chords. They all know what that means out there. But I'm going to invite you all, choir members included, but everybody in the congregation, to watch what I do with the ukulele, because it's so simple, it's kind of mind-boggling, and yet it just fits, it just works. I love this song. This is a song just about being vulnerable. I can't stand to find I'm not
the right to breathe. I live in the sky, and don't you see? Even our heroes have the right to dream. It's so easy to breathe. Up on the head, away, away from me. It's alright. All can see well tonight. I'm not crazy or anything. I can't stand to fly. Well, I'm not that naive. Men weren't meant to ride with clouds beneath their wings. I'm one of them. That you for kryptonite on this one that you looking for special things inside of me, inside of me, inside of me, inside of me. It's not easy to be me.
Thank you, John. Boy, a lot of presents today here. A lot of presents. Thank you. We give thanks for these gifts and for those who have given them as we send them forth to bless our world. And so it is. Thank you. Our chaplains today are Tim and Amber. And Gary? Was Gary in the back? Oh, there he is. Gary has been holding the entire service in prayer for us. If you have anything that is heavy on your heart or a joy that you would like to celebrate, you can pray with one of our chaplains and they will hold it in prayer with you. And they will be up here at the front at the end of the service. And we thank you all for your service. Thank you very much. You can also fill out a prayer request form that's found in the seat pocket in front of you and put it in one of our prayer boxes. One at the front of the sanctuary here and one in the foyer. Our prayer team will pray over it for 7 days, and then the prayers will be sent on to Silent Unity to be prayed over for 30 days. And if you know of somebody that's in the hospital and they've actually requested a visit from one of our chaplains, please fill out the visitation request form in the seat pocket and also place that in the prayer box. Our children have arrived, so let's welcome them in with singing. Now they have arrived in.
We are singing for the stories of life. 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 We are singing, oh, we are singing for the stories of life. We are singing, oh, we are singing for the stories of life. 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 We are singing, oh, we are singing for the stories of life. We are singing, oh,
right, good morning, welcome all of you. Welcome all of you. We're very grateful for our young people here at Unity Spiritual Center. As I say, these are the building blocks of the future for us. Let's take a moment to bless our children and especially, and the youth, and especially those that are in service to them. You see all these adults that are around here? These are the true heroes here as far as I'm concerned. So let's bless the children and youth and ourselves also. Together,
Be the love you are, sing the song you hear, share your joy of life with people far and near.
and for ourselves,
Be the love we are, sing the song we hear, share our joy of life with people far and near.
we bless you. Have a great week. Find the people that brought you. All right, please stand if you are able and join together for our closing prayer followed by the peace song. Are we ready? All right, here we go. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God.
The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth.
Wherever you are, be the soul of that place and have a very Merry Christmas.
It's a beautiful sunshine, all you do. It's a beautiful sunshine, breaking through. Everywhere we found, and meet you. It's a beautiful sunshine, all you do. It's the little rainfall washing away from the little sky, make life green. Working on the Mayflower in these views. There's a feeling in the sunshine, love you.